It's the Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham. Every day we are faced with new and seemingly mounting responsibilities. Whether they are expectations at work or chores to accomplish at home, there are always challenges to tackle. Artist Andre Barker suggests social and political pressure add another layer to this for Black people. He believes by simply existing unbothered can be a remedy to find peace and power. In his new installation, Rest Is, Barker captures Black people at rest through portraits of Black essence in Detroit. The exhibition is currently on display at M Contemporary Art Gallery in Ferndale through February 14th. Andre Barker joins me now in studio. Andre, welcome to the Metro.
Hey, happy to be here.
Of course. So, once again, what part of Detroit you from?
From the west side, so close to 7 Mile, around that area.
Love having Detroiters on the show. So you are pretty early in your career. You graduated from Wayne State and Columbia College, Chicago. You returned home and are a professor at Wayne State with your second solo exhibition right now. So how did your journey begin? How did you start painting?
So really, I started painting in 2023 so my second semester in grad school. Before that, I just started, drawing and stuff. But it wasn't until I went to grad school that I wanted to do something a little different. I didn't want to feel like I was wasting my time there doing the same thing that I've been doing 6 years prior. So, I started there and started working with acrylic officially at that time.
So you just, like most people, but you took a chance on yourself and your abilities, and you said, I'm just going to try this.
Yeah. And it all really started from me looking at what old masters did, back in the day. And when I saw that and I started doing research, I'm like, I want to start painting like Caravaggio. And so I started doing research on him and like this chiaroscuro technique. And after all of that, and I went back to the studio, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to take a chance on myself. I probably shouldn't have worked on a big canvas first, but thankfully I'm surprisingly kind of good at it. Because I feel like, I'm just happy that it turned out good.
Seeing your work, I think a lot of us are happy that you were surprised that the work came through it the way it did and shows up on the canvas.
Yeah, because like I said, I started off drawing, seeing everything in black and white and having one way of drawing. So I really did take a chance on myself switching over to painting and not having any idea how good it was going to be or if I wanted to continue doing it. So I'm happy I took a leap of faith and worked out.
And just hearing you talk about your journey, I'm thinking about just being a young kid yourself. Like, what were some of the early things that you were sketching out? I remember being in middle school, elementary school. Everyone was obsessed with drawing like Dragon Ball Z characters and Pokemon. And what were some of the things that you were doing? So
around that time, I would like sketch anime type stuff. So I was big into this anime called Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Love video games. So it was a lot of Sonic and Tails and just pretty much just little stuff like that. I was mainly really into like reading the manga, reading graphic novels. Like I probably shouldn't have been interested back in the day, but like The Walking Dead, stuff like that, and Marvel and DC comics. And I think that really translates over to my practice now and how I like to illustrate Black and brown people and the environments that they're in.
Yeah. So who are some of your influences, especially local influences?
Mainly Mario Moore. He's, of course other people, but Mario Moore, he really helped me like understand my practice more conceptually. So back then when I was trying to figure out like what did I want to depict in my work, I had a chance to thankfully show him some of my drawings that I did for my thesis exhibition for my BFA. And he said, you shouldn't hit people over the head with a meaning. You have to be more subtle. And that led to me start doing more research on like what different motifs and symbolisms I can have in my work to not push people away instead of invite them in for a conversation, understand like why is this certain thing in the painting or in the drawing.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to get to your installation now because I do want people to understand what we're talking about right now with you, Andre. In your installation, you place an emphasis on rest. You believe it is an act of resistance and space in which one can find power, especially when we're talking about Black people. How did you come to this definition?
So it really came from my series that I did before this Rest Is show. Before I had a Thank You Come Again bag partially over the heads of Black and brown people to show how uncomfortable it can be being a Black or brown person in a mostly white space. And after spending time at a residency called Ragdale in Chicago, I was in this like pretty much mostly white environment. It felt like Get Out in some instances. And I felt comfortable. I didn't feel like I had to repress my blackness. I didn't feel like I was disposable. And when I came back to Detroit, that's when I started thinking about this idea of rest and idea of claiming your blackness, being in this spotlight or the symbolical spotlight that I have in my paintings, but still having this idea of like alienation by having the background a different rendering style than the figures, and just show like, just black people just at rest in their own bubble, happy existing, whether it's having different emotions, whether it's, happiness, contemplation, just being around people or just in their own world. I think it's just important.
And just, you said something there, but it's about being within those white spaces and trying to be fully authentically yourself in those spaces. How did that translate, or how did that come to a head, I guess you can say, being from a space that is majority black, being from Detroit, and then going into these white spaces, trying to find yourself and find your way through?
Yeah, well, at first it was pretty much like a culture shock. So, Detroit is like 70 or 80% black. When I went to Chicago, I went to a neighborhood that was safe, but I didn't know safe just meant white at that time.
Yeah.
So when I went there, it was this place called Buena Park, and it was just a culture shock. And, from that and then coming back to Detroit, I'm not sure if being back in Detroit after graduating, if it built my confidence or anything, but, going back to Chicago, experiencing that again and being like, oh, this ain't nothing. I'm used to it now. And now that I'm back hopefully officially, it just feels great to make a work that's different, that's outside of, even though I love the Thank You Come Again bag, and that's something that I plan on continuing moving forward, it feels good to take a break from that, to show like a different side, still keeping the same type of style and how I do the backgrounds, but showing it differently.
Yeah, and taking from Mario Moore, like you said, and learning that you maybe don't need to tell everyone in their face what this painting is about, but you can come and invite people in, and they can kind of figure out what it means to them on their own terms, on their own time and space. When you're putting together something like the Thank You bag, you putting them over the heads and you're painting it that way, can you talk about why you decided to use that particular bag versus maybe a paper bag or something like that?
Well, the idea came from me thinking about different motifs that I could use, like different symbolisms, and pretty much I thought about my experience in grad school. I felt like I was, one of the best grad students in the cohort, and I was doing all this stuff, and I was thinking like, dang, I'm giving all this love while I'm here, but when I leave, then what? Like, am I just filled up with all of this praise, and then I'm just going to be disposed of after I graduate? And that I started thinking about other experiences I had outside of school, and I wanted to do something a little different, something that I haven't seen that really resonated with me. And I had to buy, I think like 100 Thank You Come Again bags just to get one on Amazon. And when I brought it, I'm like, I'm going to do something with this. I'm not sure what yet, but I'm definitely going to do something. And it wasn't until the first solo show, Glimpse of Us, that I had at M Contemporary in 2024. Everyone was drawn to the Thank You Come Again bag painting. And that's when I left. I spent like a month or 2 months really thinking about what I want this series to be. What is it about? And yeah. And yeah, so that's when I came back to the studio and just really conceptualized this whole series of the Thank You Come Again bags.
And this is the Metro 1019 WDET. I'm Tia Graham. My guest is Andre Barker. His latest exhibition, Rest Is, depicts Black life unbothered. And you can view it at M Contemporary Art Gallery in Ferndale now through February 14th. Now, you talked a little bit about your definition of rest, especially when we're talking about it within your art. What do you do with this power once you've found it through rest?
I think that during the time of rest, you can really use that time to think about, like, what can you do next? Like, who am I as a person? I think that's what I did while at the residency, and even my time in between first solo show, doing this series. I'm doing the series before this and then working on this show. I think, from that rest, you can come out and really understand, like, how involved you want to be in anything or any type of aspect of your life. And
we were talking about it just a little bit earlier, but I do want to talk about rest in the times that we're in right now. Just historically speaking, thinking about Black people, Black bodies, and protest. We've seen protests growing across the country, and it's been noted that Black people aren't showing up in large numbers. How do you look at Black rest in our society right now?
Well, Black and brown people have been involved in a lot of protests, demonstrations, whatnot, for years and years and years. And for me, even though it would be, I think we can join the protest at any time, but I think it's good that Black people are sort of stepping away from that, allowing other people a chance to protest, to try to create some type of change in our society. Because personally, I don't think it should always be on Black people. I feel like it's a problem that everyone can help and come together and solve.
And when we say that and you think about the other side of it, what would you say to people when they say Black people should be out protesting right now? Because it's like you said, it's a all of us problem.
I don't know. I probably wouldn't say anything. Like I said, I think that Black people need to sometimes rest. Like we've been involved so much in our society, doing all like demonstrations and protests. I think that it's good that we're just stepping back for a while. Like I don't think that we're gonna be quiet for a long time. But for right now, I think it's good that we're taking a pause for the cause.
Yeah, and once again, talking about rest, because that is the whole overall theme of your art exhibition at M Contemporary in Ferndale. But rest in the idea that we are moving towards a different, I guess you can say, aspect of life for Black people, or a different experience or a different lived experience for Black people. That rest means something for this generation of people. So what does that mean when we're talking about the next generation, or us, or the future of Black people when we talk about rest? What do you think about when we talk about rest?
To me, as someone that in the past, I lost like 100 pounds. I used to be 317 pounds, lost 100. Yeah. But, and, and me saying that, rest is important. Like if you can work out every single day, and at a certain point you need to take a break, let your muscles rest, and then come back and be stronger than ever. And for me, rest is important now. Like I said, we get to sit this out. We can hopefully come back later on and join the protest and help people out. But yeah, I think hopefully future generations will look at rest as a sense of like, it's okay to take a pause. You don't have to always be in the front lines. You don't have to always like push for something. Sometimes you can let other people take the wheel, and then you can come in and help.
And Andre, I want to get to the exhibition again. There were pieces in the exhibition, portraits of Black people in Detroit, honestly, just minding their business. And some of my favorite works, Carrie Jr. II and I were able to check out the show this Friday. New Negro in Oz is one of my favorites. It's featuring your cousin as well, which was so great to see that. But seeing that depicted on this, and as large as it was on the canvas, I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, there's Black people just living.
Yeah.
Can you describe it for people so they can kind of get the experience of what we experienced?
Yeah. So New Negro in Oz is a 6-foot by 5-foot painting, acrylic painting that takes place in a subway train in Chicago. It has the Harrison stop, so it's Chicago CTA train, and it has a Black woman standing proudly with one hand on her hip, stepping on a plastic bag. Because as I mentioned, I made that piece right after my Ragdale experience, and so that's when I finally took off the bag and say, no, she's stepping on it. She's reclaiming her Blackness. Like, I don't feel uncomfortable anymore. And then have my cousin in the back sitting down, once again minding his own business, relax in that space. And for that series, or Thank You Come Again bag series, the background was white with graphite sketch lines. In the new series, there's more color, so there's more of a colorful background and colored lines. And even though for that series, the background is all white and it means feeling uncomfortable in those white spaces, for me, the fact that I have someone in that piece stepping on that bag and reclaiming their Blackness, or even another piece next to it, it cannot always be night, her ripping the bag, shows like, okay, I'm not going to be uncomfortable anymore. This is who I am. And I think that really set off a chain reaction for the work that I have now that's in the show.
And in the show, I mean, there are so many. I couldn't really choose one or two or three because all of them resonate with me in some way. Unbothered was another one, of course. I mean, she's just there like unbothered. And then as well, Ready for the Weekend, back on 74, Mona, which stood out. I mean, it has the fox in the background in the sketch type, but then Mona's present, almost coming out of the canvas, looking at you with this beautiful afro. Absolutely stunning work. But before we let you go, as a professor and this so many different things that you've been able to do since graduating, how do you articulate this concept of rest, not only just to us in the masses with the canvas, but to the people that you're teaching now?
I feel like, as a professor, I always look back at my time as a student, whether it's undergrad or grad or being a grad student. And for my students, rest come in the fact that, I tell them today's going to be a mental health day, or even when we're working in class, especially the class I'm teaching now, Surface Studio, which I taught last semester, I'll tell them we're just going to put on the Disney movie in the background, not the visual, just the audio, so they could just hear it and have their mind at ease. And I see art as a way, it's very meditative. You get to relax when you make art. For me, sometimes I think too much when I'm making it, but 90% of the time you get to just relax and chill and put your expression, your thoughts on canvas or on paper. And I'm hopefully my students will come to my class and hopefully wash away any stress that they may have in their life and just, work on something that's, I hope, is fun to them.
And lastly, before we go, what would you want people to take away from Rest Is at M Contemporary Art Gallery?
Hopefully people take away the fact that, Black and brown people, we belong in any space. We belong in museums, we belong in galleries, we belong in public. We can just be existing. We don't have to always be watched. We're just living our lives like anyone else in our own bubble. Hopefully people go and see some beautiful paintings, and it's a great space.
Andre Barker is an artist and an adjunct professor at Wayne State University. You can view his latest exhibition, Rest Is, at the M Contemporary Art Gallery in Ferndale right now through February 14th. Andre, thank you so much for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Coming up, 32,000 people came together to form a union for home care workers in Michigan. We'll learn more about what it took to get unionized. Stay right there. We'll be right back. This is The Metro.